The world has always been governed by a lie that sounds noble and feels comforting. That lie says wealth comes to those who work the hardest, who are the most honest, who follow the rules and wait their turn. It is a lie so deeply embedded into society that most people never even think to question it. They spend their lives grinding, sacrificing, hoping that one day their effort will be noticed and rewarded. Meanwhile, quietly and without applause, a very different class of people moves through the same world collecting power, influence, and money with surgical precision. They are not louder. They are not more visible. They are simply more aware. Machiavelli understood something that still terrifies modern culture. He knew that wealth is not created by goodness or talent alone. It is created by control. Control of perception, control of timing, control of relationships, and above all, control of information. The richest people in every era have never been the most moral or the most brilliant. They have been the ones who knew how to make others move while appearing to stand still. Look around you. The billionaire you see on magazine covers, the celebrity entrepreneur, the loud motivational figure on social media, these are not the true masters of wealth. They are the distraction. Real power hides because attention invites competition, and competition invites risk. The smartest fortunes are built in silence from the moment you are born. You are taught to announce your progress. You are trained to post your wins, to celebrate promotions, to show off new cars, new homes, new lifestyles. This is not accidental. It is a social conditioning system designed to expose your position to the world so that others can measure, judge, and ultimately limit you. The moment people know how much you are worth, they decide how much respect you deserve. And once they decide that, they begin treating you accordingly. Machiavelli would have smiled at how well this trap works. He wrote that power belongs to those who can be unpredictable while appearing harmless. Wealth works the same way. When people cannot read you, they cannot attack you. When they cannot measure you, they cannot compete with you. The first hidden rule of wealth is silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of strategy. Every time you speak about what you are building, you leak information. Every time you brag, you attract envy. Every time you explain, you give others a chance to interfere. The quiet builder moves faster because no one is trying to slow him down. This is why the most dangerous people in any room are rarely the ones talking. They are watching. They are calculating. They are learning who wants what, who is desperate, who is emotional, and who is blind. While others expose themselves through their words, the strategist gathers leverage. Wealth is leverage. Money is simply the visible byproduct. Most people think getting rich is about finding the right job, the right business, the right investment. Those are tactics. Machiavelli would tell you that tactics mean nothing without position. Position is where you stand relative to others. If you have something they need, you control them. If they have something you need, they control you. The hidden wealthy structure their lives so that everyone around them is dependent on them in small, invisible ways. A favor here, a connection there, an introduction, a recommendation, a piece of insider knowledge. None of it looks like power in the moment, but over time it creates a web where people owe you more than they realize. Debt is not just financial. It is emotional, psychological, social. The poor man is free. The rich man is owed. This is why powerful people rarely ask for money. They ask for loyalty. They ask for silence. They ask for cooperation. Then when the time comes, money flows naturally through those channels. You have been trained to believe that wealth is built by independence. In reality, wealth is built by interdependence where you are at the center. Machiavelli warned that the greatest danger to power is visibility without protection. The moment you are seen as successful, people begin to test you. They question your legitimacy. They look for your weaknesses. They hope to replace you. This is why hidden wealth is the safest wealth. When no one knows how strong you are, no one knows how hard to push. Think about this: when people believe you are struggling, they help you. When they believe you are winning, they resent you. The smartest wealthy people live just below the threshold of envy. Comfortable, but not flashy. Successful, but not threatening. Powerful, but not obvious. This is not humility. This is camouflage. Machiavelli would call this the art of appearing ordinary while being untouchable. The second hidden rule is control of narrative. You do not let the world decide who you are. You give them a version of you that benefits you, a story that makes you approachable or underestimated or trusted. Meanwhile, the real you operates behind that story. Some of the richest people in history were known as boring, dull, or even unlucky. They cultivated that image because it kept predators away and opportunities flowing. People reveal more to those they think are harmless. This is why you should never look too ambitious, never look too clever, never look too eager. The more neutral you appear, the more information people will give you. And information is the currency that creates money. Most people talk to be liked. The wealthy talk to be believed. There is a quiet cruelty in how power works. You do not need to destroy others. You simply need to let them expose themselves. People always show you what they want if you listen long enough. They will tell you their fears, their desires, their weaknesses. Once you know those, you know how to move them. This is not manipulation. This is understanding human nature. Machiavelli did not invent this. He observed it. The third hidden rule of wealth is patience. Real money is never rushed. The desperate chase opportunity. The strategic wait for inevitability. When you move too fast, you reveal need. Need makes you weak. When you can afford to wait, the world bends. The wealthy are never in a hurry. They know that time multiplies leverage. The longer you can hold a position, the more valuable it becomes. Most people want quick wins. The powerful build slow traps. This is why stock markets, real estate, businesses, and political systems are designed to reward those who can wait. Those who cannot are forced to sell their future for short-term relief. Machiavelli would say that fortune favors the prepared mind, not the hopeful one. Wealth is not a moment. It is a position you slowly occupy until everyone else realizes too late that you own the ground they are standing on. The fourth hidden rule is invisibility of intent. You never reveal what you truly want. You let people think they are using you while you are using them. The greatest deals in history were made by people who appeared to be losing. This is why negotiations are not won by strength. They are won by confusion. If your opponent does not know what matters to you, they cannot take it away. The fifth hidden rule is strategic generosity. You give just enough to create loyalty, not enough to create equality. A favor that cannot be repaid creates dependence. A gift that cannot be matched creates hierarchy. The rich understand this instinctively. They do not give to be kind. They give to be remembered. Every person you help becomes a potential door in the future. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be needed than to be loved. Love fades. Need endures. The sixth hidden rule is selective distance. You are close enough to influence, but far enough to avoid blame. When things go wrong, you are not the target. When things go right, you are in position to benefit. This is how real wealth survives crises. The seventh hidden rule is controlled risk. The powerful never gamble what they cannot afford to lose. They place small bets with massive upside. They let others take the big risks and then step in when success is proven. This is why venture capitalists and bankers always seem to win. They let dreamers bleed first. The eighth hidden rule is ownership of systems, not effort. Employees trade time for money. Owners trade control for wealth. If you do not own the process, you will always be paid last. Machiavelli knew that those who control the structure control the outcome. The ninth hidden rule is emotional detachment. You do not get rich by caring too much. You get rich by seeing clearly. Emotions make you predictable. Predictability makes you exploitable. The richest people feel less so they can see more. All of this brings us to the central truth that society never wants you to hear. Getting rich without anyone knowing is not about hiding money. It is about hiding intention. When no one knows what you are building, they cannot stop it. When no one knows your power, they cannot challenge it. When no one knows your future, they cannot sabotage it. You are beginning to see why the world feels rigged. It is not because opportunity is rare. It is because it is quietly owned. The gates you think are open are controlled by people who never appear at the entrance. They sit inside the structure, deciding who is allowed to enter and who is meant to keep knocking. Machiavelli would tell you that the biggest mistake of the ambitious is to attack the fortress instead of becoming part of its walls. Most people chase visible success. They want recognition, applause, and validation. They want others to see that they are rising. But the moment you are seen rising, you become a threat. And when you are a threat, the system reacts. Institutions, competitors, even friends will begin to subtly block you. Not always with open hostility, but with quiet resistance. Opportunities vanish. Doors close. Rumors spread. The climb becomes steeper. This is why hidden wealth is not just safer. It is faster. When you move quietly, no one prepares defenses against you. When you grow without announcing it, no one positions themselves to intercept you. You are not fighting the system. You are slipping through it. There's a reason so many powerful families remain unknown to the public. They do not want to be admired. They want to be untouched. Machiavelli observed that those who crave admiration inevitably lose control. Admiration turns into expectation. Expectation turns into entitlement. Entitlement turns into rebellion. The more people think they know you, the more they think they own a piece of you. The wealthy who survive across generations do not let that happen. They give the world a story that is simple, unthreatening, and incomplete. Behind that story, the real strategy unfolds. This is how dynasties are built. You have been told to brand yourself, to promote yourself, to become visible. That advice creates influencers, not owners. Influencers rely on attention. Owners rely on control. When attention shifts, influencers collapse. When systems shift, owners adapt. Machiavelli would laugh at how modern culture celebrates exposure. Exposure is vulnerability disguised as success. The smartest move is to let others expose themselves while you remain unreadable. Think about negotiations, partnerships, business deals, even friendships. The person who speaks the least usually wins, not because they are smarter, but because they reveal less. Every word you say tells the other person something about what you want, what you fear, and what you are willing to accept. Silence, on the other hand, forces others to fill the void. And when they talk, they give you leverage. This is why powerful people often seem slow, distant, or uninterested. They are not disengaged. They are collecting information. The invisible advantage is always knowledge asymmetry. When you know more about others than they know about you, you control the game. Money flows to those who understand this. Wealth is not built by working harder. It is built by positioning yourself so that other people's work benefits you. That is a brutal truth, but it is also a liberating one. Once you see it, you stop exhausting yourself trying to be impressive. You start structuring your life so that you are indispensable. Machiavelli warned that those who rely on popularity are always one mood away from collapse. Those who rely on necessity are untouchable. Your goal is not to be liked. Your goal is to be needed. The way you do that is by quietly becoming a gatekeeper. You control access to something valuable. It could be information. It could be people. It could be capital. It could be opportunities. It could be distribution. Whatever it is, you make sure that when others want to move forward, they must pass through you. But you do not announce this role. You let it be discovered. This is how you get rich without anyone knowing. You build a position, not a persona. The poor announce their dreams. The wealthy arrange their realities. The moment you understand this, your behavior changes. You stop telling people what you are working on. You stop asking for permission. You stop looking for validation. You start building quietly, strategically, patiently. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors those who shape circumstances rather than beg for them. You shape circumstances by being in the right place when decisions are made. And the right place is never in the spotlight. It is in the room where the spotlight is controlled. Most people believe money is the goal. It is not. Money is the echo of power. It arrives after power has already been established. If you chase money directly, you will always run into walls built by people who already control the systems. But if you quietly build influence inside those systems, money flows toward you as a side effect. Machiavelli understood that wealth does not come from working harder inside the structure. It comes from positioning yourself so the structure works for you. Look at any industry: music, real estate, tech, politics, finance. The people who make the most are not the ones producing. They are the ones who own access. The gatekeepers, the brokers, the intermediaries. They decide who gets through and who stays outside. Everyone else fights for scraps. The invisible rich never stand in the crowd. They stand at the doors. The tragedy is that most people are taught to become excellent workers instead of strategic owners. They perfect their skills, improve their performance, become more efficient. But efficiency only makes you more useful to someone else's system. It does not make you powerful. Machiavelli would say this is how people become valuable servants instead of dangerous players. Power is never given to the most capable. It is given to the most necessary. The second chapter of Hidden Wealth is about becoming impossible to replace. To do that, you must stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a bottleneck. Where does money slow down? Where does progress require permission? Where do decisions get made? Those are the pressure points. That is where wealth hides. Most people are focused on what they do. The wealthy are focused on where things happen. If you are inside the place where deals are approved, where budgets are allocated, where partnerships are formed, you do not need to be the best. You just need to be there. Machiavelli would warn you that loyalty is the most underrated form of currency. People trust those who stay close without threatening. That is why advisors, assistants, fixers, and quiet operators often become extremely wealthy. They see everything. They hear everything. They know who owes who, and because they are underestimated, they are never removed. The invisible rich make themselves useful, not impressive. They do not show ambition. They show reliability. This allows them to sit near power without triggering fear. Once you are close to power, you do not have to fight for money. You simply redirect it. The world runs on favors. Contracts and laws are just the formal surface. Underneath is a web of personal debts. You do something for someone. They remember. You solve a problem. They owe you. You introduce to people. You become the bridge between them. Bridges are always paid. Machiavelli wrote that people never forget who helped them when they were vulnerable. That is when loyalty is formed. That is when future wealth is locked in. The invisible rich look for moments when others are desperate, not to exploit them, but to become indispensable. Because when you save someone's position, you gain power over their future. This is why you must never burn bridges publicly. You never know who will become useful later. The loud man makes enemies. The quiet man collects assets. There is also a reason the invisible rich avoid drama. Drama creates records. Records create trails. Trails lead to exposure. They keep things clean, simple, boring. Boring is safe. Safe is powerful. Machiavelli would tell you that chaos attracts attention, and attention attracts enemies. Your wealth grows fastest when no one is watching. This chapter is about building an ecosystem where you are at the center, but no one realizes it. You become the quiet hub of movement. When people want something, they come to you, but they do not see you as powerful. They see you as helpful. That is the perfect disguise. Power hides behind usefulness, the most dangerous. People are the ones everyone depends on and no one fears, because no one ever removes what they rely on. Once you understand this, the entire map of society changes in front of you. You stop looking at who is famous and start looking at who is positioned. You stop admiring who is loud and start noticing who is necessary. Every organization, no matter how large or powerful, has invisible arteries. Information flows through them. Decisions move through them. Money passes through them. These arteries are not the CEOs or the celebrities. They are the advisors, the brokers, the legal teams, the financial controllers, the people who make things happen quietly. Machiavelli would say that real power never sits on the throne. It sits behind it. The invisible rich do not try to own the castle. They try to control the keys. This is why they avoid being the face of anything. Faces get blamed. Faces get replaced. Structures remain. If you are inside the structure, you survive every change. Think of politics. Leaders come and go, but lobbyists, donors, strategists, and bureaucrats remain. They shape policy regardless of who is elected. The same thing happens in business. CEOs rotate. Brands rebrand. Markets shift. But the people who control capital, supply chains, data, and distribution continue to profit. Machiavelli would call this permanence. Most people build careers. The invisible rich build positions. Careers depend on performance. Positions depend on necessity. This is why your goal is not to become excellent. Your goal is to become unavoidable. Once you are unavoidable, You can extract value quietly, not by demanding it, but by being the only path forward. People will pay you to remove friction. The wealthiest individuals are often not inventors or creators. They are connectors. They bring people together. They align interests. They solve conflicts. They sit between parties and take a percentage from both sides. Machiavelli understood that those who mediate disputes end up controlling outcomes. If two sides need you to communicate, you become the gatekeeper. The invisible rich create situations where others must go through them. They do not dominate. They facilitate, but they never do it for free. This is also why the smartest wealthy people never let themselves become emotionally invested. If you care too much, you lose leverage. If you stay calm, others reveal what they are willing to give up. Emotion is the enemy of negotiation. Machiavelli wrote that men are driven more by fear of loss than by desire for gain. The invisible rich use this instinct constantly. They never threaten. They simply let people feel the risk of losing access. Access is everything. When someone believes you are their path to opportunity, they will protect you, pay you, and prioritize you. You become too valuable to ignore. This is how hidden wealth compounds. Not through hustle, but through position. By now you understand that money is not earned. It is extracted, not through force, but through positioning. The invisible rich do not fight for opportunities. They design environments where opportunities must come to them. Machiavelli would say that true dominance is when others believe they are acting freely, while moving exactly where you want them to go. This is the final evolution of wealth. Most people stop once they are comfortable. They buy a home. They upgrade their lifestyle. They relax. That is the moment they become vulnerable. Because visible wealth creates visible targets. Expenses create pressure. Pressure creates dependency. Dependency creates weakness. The invisible rich avoid this trap by never tying their identity to their possessions. They can walk away from anything because nothing owns them. They live below their means not because they are frugal, but because they are free. Freedom is the ultimate form of power. Machiavelli warned that those who become attached to luxury become slaves to those who provide it. When you need a certain lifestyle to feel whole, you are controlled by anyone who can threaten it. The invisible rich structure their lives so that nothing can be taken from them. That would break them. This makes them dangerous. They can say no when everyone else must say yes. They can walk away from bad deals. They can wait while others rush. And waiting is where fortunes are made. In the final stage of wealth, you stop chasing growth and start engineering inevitability. You position yourself so that no matter what happens in the market, in politics, or in society, money flows toward you. You own assets that people must use, infrastructure, platforms, networks, gateways. Machiavelli would call this controlling the terrain. You are no longer competing. You are hosting the competition. Everyone else fights. You collect. This is how dynasties are born. The last hidden truth is this: the richest people in the world are not trying to get richer. They are trying to make sure no one can ever challenge them. They invest in influence, in law, in media, in relationships, in narratives. They shape the world so that their position always looks natural. This is why hidden wealth is the most powerful form of wealth. It does not provoke resistance. It does not invite revolution. It simply exists, quietly, permanently. Machiavelli understood that when power is invisible, it is almost impossible to destroy. You do not overthrow what you cannot see. And that is the ultimate secret. If you have followed this path, you are no longer playing the game. You are designing it. At this stage of the game, there is nothing left to chase. Chasing is for those who are behind. You are now in the position of arranging, shaping, and quietly deciding how the world around you moves. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote about princes who ruled without appearing to rule. The invisible rich no longer need to prove anything. Proof is for the weak. The strong are simply assumed. When you reach this level, people begin to treat you differently without knowing why. They listen more closely. They hesitate before disagreeing. They ask for your opinion even when you have not offered it. This is not because you are intimidating. It is because your position speaks for you. Machiavelli would say that authority is felt before it is understood. This is how hidden wealth becomes social gravity. Others orbit around you, not realizing you are the center. You never have to announce your success. Others will do it for you in whispers. The final protection of invisible wealth is narrative control. You allow the world to believe a story that keeps you safe. Perhaps you are quiet. Perhaps you are boring. Perhaps you are lucky. Perhaps you are just comfortable. The truth does not matter. What matters is that no one sees you as a threat. When you are not a threat, you are not attacked. And when you are not attacked, you grow. This is the true Machiavellian secret of wealth. Not domination, not conquest, but quiet inevitability. Your wealth becomes like the tide, always rising, never announcing itself. Impossible to stop. This is how you get rich without anyone knowing.